Hello, and welcome to our presentation about maintaining physical activity during COVID-19 global pandemic. The global pandemic caused by the coronavirus disease seemed to have affected many of our lives in different ways. This pandemic has caused many people to stay at home and self-isolate, which could have affected the amount of physical activity that the individual engaged in.
Hi, for this slide we are focusing on the purpose. The purpose of our research is to examine how college students maintain physical activity during the pandemic. We focused on subtopics regarding social-cultural, task/adaptations, and individual traits. Hi, for this slide we focused on methods. Our study was a qualitative and ethnographic study. Our participants included 6 kinesiology college students that were 4 males and 2 females. They participated in moderate to intense physical activity for 3 or more days a week. We recruited through various kinesiology classes through email, which we sent our recruit script and then sent the consent form to our participants. As for the interviews, they lasted between 30 to 45 minutes and were performed anonymously through a Zoom video call. The participants were asked to remove their name and their video during the interview session. Lastly, the interview was recorded and transcribed through the remainder of the session.
So, for the social cultural aspect of this paper, the past research showed equivocal findings that there was a high concern for the impact of COVID-19 virus on the individual's social life, their family relationships, and school life. Yet, there were studies that found that people continued to do physical activity regardless of the social restrictions and the dangers of the COVID-19 virus. And from performing the interviews, we found that those individuals that view physical activity as a lifestyle were less impacted from the COVID-19 restrictions since they still found a way to maintain physical activity either through outdoor gym usage, using bike trails, or running outside, or even going to play sports such as basketball. And just the significance of all these findings show that the individuals who were motivated to continue doing physical activity through the pandemic were doing so because being physically active was a priority in their life compared to those individuals who did mild to moderate physical activity and they were not as motivated to continue to work out either because of the fear of the COVID-19 virus and all the social restrictions that were implied by it.
For this slide, we are focusing on task. Task focuses on analyzing the participants' adaptability during the pandemic. Majority of our participants partook in home workouts such as dumbbells, workout videos, and apps for bodyweight exercise, dancing, and yoga. One of the participants quoted, "I use workout apps, workout plans, and a food/diet tracker during the pandemic." The cardio alternative was playing in the outdoor basketball courts, which one participant explained that I usually played basketball pre-COVID, which can be adapted to outdoors. I had to take account of wind factor and the use of a mask. The synthesis of my articles consists of how people's physical activities were affected during the pandemic. The majority articles explain that people's inactivity, sedentary behavior, and sitting time increased due to the restrictive nature of staying home. However, according to Yang and Christopher 2020, the use of physical activity apps helped lessen the decline of physical activity during the pandemic. The paper explained that the reason is that PA apps counteract the wave of inactivity because of the restrictions of locations such as gyms, fitness clubs, and parks during the lockdown. The paper also described that the apps created motivational and educational features for physical activity. For the motivational portion, they were given feedback, social support, and goal setting. As for the educational features, they focused on physical activity tutoring, instruction, coaching, and learning.
The third subcategory we focused on was at the individual level. Using the self-determination theory, we categorized our participants by being intrinsically or extrinsically motivated. Intrinsic refers to the individual being self-motivated and performing the activity for their own pleasure. Extrinsic refers to the individual performing the activity for external gratification, such as appearance. We asked the participants to explain their prior history with exercise before COVID, which they all responded by stating they had performed physical activity prior to COVID. Participants were then asked to state what type of physical activity they performed during the pandemic. 3 participants reported engaging in both aerobic and anaerobic exercises. 1 participant strictly performed anaerobic exercises, such as weight training, while 2 of our participants reported participating in aerobic exercises, such as going on hikes or cycling while following social distancing guidelines. We also asked participants what was the main driving factor for them to maintain physical activity during COVID. Some of the factors for participants who were extrinsically motivated were to improve their appearance, while participants who were intrinsically motivated stated physical activity as being part of their lifestyle. And a study conducted by Amar et al. In 2020 found that 72% of participants were less physically active during COVID, as well as 10% of participants reported having an unhealthy diet. While our study focused on individuals who maintained physical activity during COVID, our participants reported being less physically active than before COVID, this being due to lack of access to gym equipment, as well as not having a workout partner and not having access to the right food or having access to too much food. This study found that regardless of the individual's motivation factor, having a background with physical activity increased their adherence to physical activity. The study highlights the importance of access to equipment as being part of the determining factor for physical activity. Some of the limitations were that we had a very small sample size, which was of 6 college students, and further studies should include a larger population as well as more female representation.